How do you find God in your daily life? When you discover a connection, an encounter with God, how does this encounter transform you? God does not force himself upon us, but invites us to a deeper relationship with himself from where we are spiritually. When I was a child, I acted like a child and saw the world as a means to the end. As I grew spiritually, I realized this world will end and there will be a new and much greater world prepared for me and all those faithful to Jesus. If you consider the relationship between Jesus and Peter and compare your relationship with Jesus, can you imagine yourself telling Jesus, "It is good to be here with you. Let me build a home and stay"? Imagine no response, but only silence from Jesus. And now we realize Jesus had not finished his life's purpose of loving us. We realize Peter also had to be a witness, a martyr for Jesus. God's plan for us has not ended, but it is ongoing. God calls us to a special plan, a unique plan from any other human being. We consider the dazzling white clothing, the light of the Transfiguration, the future darkness of the tomb, and the darkness within our life. We struggle with darkness and struggle to bring light to the world. God calls us through the valley of darkness to be with him, the light of the world. He is with us as he calls us and waits in the glorious celebration and light of the resurrection.
One of the biggest ways that I see God speaking to me in my daily life is through prayer. Really, in the largest way that happens is through night prayer. We have these prayers of the church that have been decided on years and years ago. The Psalms and the readings somehow can still speak to me night after night. And, just on the perfect day, I will hear exactly what I know God is needing to tell me in that time. And that just has an extremely transformative power on me. It amazes me every time that it happens, that he still takes the time to speak to me in such an intimate and deep way.
I think that God really can transform people's lives and encounter them daily, not just through community, but also through isolation as well. I have kind of like a personal story about this because about 3 years ago I moved from Michigan to Texas, and I didn't really know a lot of people here. I didn't have any friends here. I moved away from my family, so he really just called me to isolation, and through that I connected with him and only truly had God, which is all we ever really have in the end anyway. But I definitely encountered him in a much more fuller way through isolation.
Yeah, for me, one way that I encounter God is just by spending time in Scripture every morning. I spend 30 minutes every morning, and just by starting my day with God and really knowing where he wants me to lead me in my life has helped me to see good in everything, see him in everything that I encounter throughout my day, especially at school. During times that may be hard for me, I've been able to get through now by being able to see God through Scripture and through where he's calling us.
Yeah, I think for me it was just knowing that I had my friends around me. My high school years, I went through a really dark time, and the main thing that got me out of it was realizing that the blessings that God had sent me were my friends. And it was the fact that I could get up in the morning, or that, I had the ability to take a shower, or that my mom made breakfast. So I think just knowing those things for me was how I ended up being able to see God, and because of that, it's what got me through, and I think because of that, I'm deeply changed, and I'll forever be able to see those small things now.
Yeah, for me, I would say that I encounter God a lot through youth. Just seeing their exuberance, their life. Sometimes they maybe don't react to me as well, but they react to God so much better. And you get to not only see that transformation when you're with them, but you get to be a part of that. And just being a part of how God is working in their lives, it allows me to be more open to how God is working in my life. He gives me better insight into how He's changing my life and how I can be more willing to accept that change.
I really enjoy doing the things I like doing, but I always felt this feeling of unsatisfaction. I didn't have the fulfillment of my life until I was in my parents' bedroom and I saw this spiritual book that said, I heard God laugh, and I picked it up and I started reading the first several pages, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. This might be something that could help me in my faith and my spiritual life. One thing that really spoke to me that I learned was our soul. We need to feed our soul. So through that, it's to do daily prayer and to really put aside time, put aside the things that we like to do, at least 10 to 30 minutes a day, and just read scripture or pray, spend some time with the Lord. And so now I feel so much more satisfied, so much happier. My life is so much sweeter. I can truly feel Him, and it's very amazing. So I strongly recommend picking up a spiritual book, and maybe it can fill in the holes or anything in your life.
For me personally, I find a lot of joy in finding God in everything outside of church and my work, and things like nature, traffic on the road, anything that helps facilitate a good relationship with me, my family, my friends. I think that also strengthens my relationship with God and transforms my faith constantly into realizing His plan for me, and I think that gives me a lot of assurance.